It's the final week of the regular season, and we still don't know who's playing in the Big Ten championship game in Indianapolis next weekend. There's more scenarios than you think. In fact, 4 teams have a chance of getting in. Let's run through all the tiebreakers. This should be fun. We're glad you're here. Locked On Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Shemon, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hit that free subscribe button down below. That way you'll never miss a single episode. And if you could share, follow, and like, and hype, that would help us out a lot. We always appreciate that. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKDOWNCollege for $20 off your first purchase. So, Ohio State and Indiana, Big Ten Championship, right? Well, yeah, maybe, probably, but not definitely. Got some tiebreakers to throw at you. We'll have some Big Ten news, including an update on Drew Allar and our power rankings for the week. But we enter rivalry week here, the final week of the Big Ten season, and we have no idea who's playing in the Big Ten championship game the following weekend at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. All season long, it's appeared like it was going to be undefeated Ohio State and undefeated Indiana. They were on a collision course to play in the Big Ten title game. That can still happen. It's not a lock, though. It's not a lock. I mean, what if Ohio State loses to Michigan? What if Indiana loses to Purdue? As unlikely as that is. We're going to map it all out. There are pro and con scenarios to all of this stuff. Again, 4 teams can still make it to the Big Ten title game. Undefeated Ohio State at 11-0 overall, 8-0 in the Big Ten. They're at Michigan. Undefeated Indiana, 11-0, 8-0 in the Big Ten. They're at Purdue. A 10-1 Oregon team, 7-1 in the conference. Got a big win over USC, 1 conference loss at home to IU. They're at Washington. That's no gimme. So those top 3 teams all on the road. And then 9-2 Michigan, sitting at 7-1 in the conference, with their loss coming at the hands of USC as far as the Big Ten goes. Of course, they lost to Oklahoma in a non-conference game earlier this year. Naturally, if Ohio State beats Michigan, they'll be in the Big Ten championship game. The same thing goes for Indiana. If they beat Purdue, they're in. Those 2 win and in. They control their own destinies. All right. Now, here's a fun fact for you. Ohio State and Indiana, they could also lose their respective games this weekend and still make the Big Ten championship game if other things happen. The Ducks and the Wolverines, they don't have a similar luxury. If they lose this weekend, they won't make it to the Big Ten title game. All right. So that's the simple part. Now, cue up the dueling banjos music. Hold your breath. We're going to rip through all of these scenarios to see who's going to be in the Big Ten championship game. All right. Ohio State is in if they beat Michigan, or Purdue beats Indiana and Washington beats Oregon. All right. Simple enough. Indiana is in if they beat Purdue or Ohio State beats Michigan. Oregon is in if they beat Washington and Michigan beats Ohio State. And Michigan gets in if the Wolverines beat the Buckeyes and Washington beats Oregon, or Michigan beats Ohio State and Purdue beats Indiana. Got it? It's that simple. That simple. So certainly every team wants to be in the Big Ten championship game. Every team wants to hang that banner that says they're Big Ten champions. But it's not the end of the world anymore in this day and age of college football if you don't make the Big Ten championship game. Last year, Oregon won the Big Ten championship game. They were undefeated throughout the season, and then they got bounced in the playoffs after a long bye period, and they got kind of rusty waiting around. Meanwhile, Ohio State, they didn't make it to the top 2 teams in the Big Ten. They missed the championship and then got to work and got ready for the playoffs, caught lightning in a bottle, and tore their way through the playoffs and won a national championship. By the way, when you do all the tiebreakers and all that, it was Oregon, Penn State, Indiana, Ohio State last year. People don't realize Ohio State was a 4th place team, but they got into the playoffs and they won a national championship. So I can assure you, as we sit here today, Ryan Day and the Buckeyes are not thinking about the Big Ten championship game or the playoffs. They are hyper focused on this game this weekend. The only thing that matters is to go beat Michigan. That's it. They don't care about the Big Ten championship game. That's later. That's next week's problem. They don't care about the playoffs right now. That's in December. They don't have to worry about that right now. I can also assure you that Michigan is only thinking about Ohio State, although they do need to win this game on Saturday to have any hopes of making the playoffs. And by the way, they moved up 3 spots in the latest college football rankings on Tuesday night, not 2. I know 2 teams lost ahead of them, right? Georgia Tech and USC. I thought they'd go from 18 to 16. They bumped them to 15. That's a shorter runway. They go beating Ohio State. They're in. They're a playoff team. Absolutely. Now, for Indiana, like Ohio State, they're not going to miss the playoffs if the unthinkable happens in West Lafayette here on Friday night. I think the Hoosiers are concerned with just winning the game and leaving the game healthy. Curt Cignetti is going to have to balance those thoughts with coming off a bye, relighting the fire and the intensity to go ahead and play this Purdue game and yet not get hurt and be ready for the bigger things ahead. By the way, in case anybody has any amnesia, last year Indiana beat Purdue 66-0. It was in Bloomington. They did have some snow in that game, if you remember. It was a little bit of an inclement situation, but I don't think he wants his team remembering that. I think he wants them to come in here fresh with a new slate and ready to go. Don't sit back on your laurels and go, hey, we beat them by 66 points last year. We're better this year. Let's beat them by more. Doesn't happen that way. But I'll be curious to see what Cignetti does as far as if they build up a lead. Will he start taking players out to keep them healthy for a Big Ten championship game and a playoff run? But Cignetti typically keeps the foot on the gas for all 4 quarters. That's how he coaches them up, and he'll put some points on the scoreboard. So we'll see. That's an interesting coaching decision by him coming up on Friday. And then there's the Oregon Ducks, who might be in the trickiest of spots here. I mean, right now they look good. They're in the playoffs, but let's talk about the Big Ten championship game, because they won their toughest remaining games with wins over Iowa and USC. They had the Minnesota game squeezed in there as well, where they blew them out. And it might be easy for a Dan Lanning team to feel like they made it, and it's, that must-win battle against USC. They won. That game was billed as a playoff elimination game. And look, the Ducks aren't a lock for anything. They got to go up to Seattle and take on Washington. Washington is a good team. They're borderline top 25 team. They've had some injuries. They've had some young guys step up. And Oregon, in recent history, has had some problems up there. This is a tough spot for Oregon because, forget about the Big Ten championship game for a moment. They go lose this game to Washington by any sizable margin, they might not go to the playoffs. And they've been ranked in the top 6, 7, 5. They've been ranked up there all season long. Again, the Huskies, they're good and they're explosive. And they also lead the series 63-49-5. While the Ducks did win last year's meeting, Washington beat them twice in 2023. Once in the regular season and once in the Pac-12 championship game. Both games were won by 3 points. These typical rivalry games. Going to go down to the wire. Going to be close games. I think you might expect more of the same here on Saturday. So we'll see. But remember, in 2023, when the Huskies beat Oregon twice by 3 points, Huskies went on to play Michigan in the national championship, only to lose that game. I would love comments. I would especially love comments here from Ducks fans. What do you think? Nervous about this game? Anybody? Ohio State. Are you sweating the Michigan game? You don't want 5 straight, right? So after what happened last year, Ohio State was a 22-point favorite and lost because they forgot the passing game. Anyway, would love to hear from you. Michigan, Indiana fans, all of you. Love to hear from you. Hit me up with the comments here on YouTube. We always love that. No matter what you do, please hit that free subscribe button down below. That way you'll never miss a single episode. And in addition to subscribing, could you also share, follow, and like? That helps us. I know if you're checking us out, you're a Big Ten fan. That means you know other Big Ten fans, family, friends, roommates. Hit the little share arrow and send this podcast their way. That would be doing us a great favor. Let them know we're out here every single day, except tomorrow. We're going to take Thanksgiving Day off. Happy Thanksgiving to you, by the way. All right, coming up, plenty to talk about. In addition to our website, by the way, talkbig10.com, number 10, where you can catch prior podcasts on a second listen, or click your favorite school logo, and there's a whole store there. You talk about Black Friday and Christmas shopping, all that. Get a shirt with your favorite team logo on it, pennants, hats for you or your loved ones for the holidays. Gift ideas right there, talkbig10.com. So we got an update on injured Penn State quarterback Drew Allar. Interesting stuff there. Big Ten news. Take a quick peek at basketball. And then we'll have our Big Ten football power rankings that we do every Wednesday. All that is coming up in just 1 minute right here on Locked On Big Ten. The NBA is back in full swing. Oh, we've seen the Pistons won like 13 in a row. Wow. No better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game and you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score in the fourth quarter or to fourth quarter comebacks, all that kind of stuff. Plus, you can even combine your live bets with same game parlays, shot at a bigger payout, right? Keeps every game even more exciting. I always say take Miami Heat overs. I like them. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com and sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. That's at FanDuel.com. Thanks for checking us out here on Locked On Big Ten, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. And thank you for making Locked On the number one sports podcast network. Can you believe it? Thank you very much for all that, especially you everydayers out there. Meanwhile, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below. That way you'll never miss a single episode because we're here every day. You can share, follow, and like. That helps us out too. And don't forget to peruse our website, talkbig10, the number 10.com for all of our podcasts, for second listen after this one, and links to our store for all of your Big Ten merchandise in time for the holidays. All right. In addition to Penn State's disastrous season, which cost James Franklin his job, they also lost their longtime starting quarterback, Drew Allar. He had a season-ending injury, broke his ankle. That was in the fourth quarter of their home loss to Northwestern. James Franklin was fired the next day. That was 6 weeks ago. It seems like forever ago. So how's Drew Allar doing, by the way? Every once in a while, when I'm watching a Penn State football game every week, I'll see him there on the sidelines. He's hanging around with the team, still feeling part of it, still, trying to get better and all that. And he says that, he's looking ahead. He's positive he's going to return to full health. He is eyeing April's NFL draft. Now, he says because of the type of surgery that was done, doctors tell him his ankle will be stronger before, so he can go out there and not worry about it anymore. And he's still not sure about his workout schedule or when he'll be able to work out for scouts. He's hoping to throw in front of them at some point, whether it be the combine or at a later pro date. Although quarterbacks rarely throw at the combine anymore, maybe he will because of his unique injury situation. Here's a little bit of news I just learned. When he got hurt, he actually briefly discussed with his people, lawyers, NCAA, the possibility of a medical red shirt to gain an additional year and maybe come back and play college football next year. But that was a short conversation because he's just played in too many games. That's not a thing. So anyway, I just found that very interesting. Thought I'd share that with you. In the meantime, he says, look, I got a lot of experience in big games. I have a lot of tape on my ability. It's time to move forward in my life and play professional football. So he leaves Penn State as the all-time completion percentage leader at 63%. So I thought that was a little low, actually. Third in touchdown passes in school history, 61. Fourth in yardage with 7,402 yards passing. And he says he's still processing how things went for him this year. I mean, look at it. He toyed with going back to the NFL last year, decided to come back at Penn State. There was just too much there, too much to grab, chance at a national championship, most experienced starter in college football. And then like that, it's over. He's injured. Coach is gone. Team is losing. It went fast. He's still trying to process all that because it just turned quickly. So he did tell a story. He got injured in the game. James Franklin was with him there at the hospital that night. And then the next day, Franklin was fired and gone. So anyway, seems like he's got his eye on the ball and looking forward to the NFL draft. Now, yesterday, I talk about going back for a second, listen and checking out yesterday's podcast. Yesterday, we did our first preview of the Ohio State-Michigan game. And one of the things that we emphasized was that Ohio State, outside of their week 1 14-7 home win versus Texas, they've been untested. Home or away. Illinois and Washington got within 18 points of Ohio State. That's it. Plus, this year's schedule was void of any matchups of any teams that have been ranked in the CFP, teams like Indiana, Oregon, USC. Now, I know Washington and Illinois have been flirting in and out of the top 25, but the upper teams, Indiana, Oregon, USC, none of them have been on the schedule. They'll have Michigan, of course, on Saturday, but they're untested in close games in hostile environments. And if things are close, and it's going to be very loud in Ann Arbor, and there's even a chance of a little inclement weather, this is going to be the first time that this team has been tested in such an experience. And it is a concern for some. So we'll see how they react. I'm looking forward to it. I know you are too. In other news, you may recall that ESPN had a December 1st deadline for the Big Ten and the SEC and all the people on the College Football Playoff Committee to decide what the new format was going to be moving forward from 2026 and beyond. They needed to know, what's the plan? Are we 12 teams? Are we 14 teams? Are we 16 teams? Do we have automatic qualifiers? They needed information there by December 1st. It's next week. That's not happening. The Big Ten and the SEC are no closer to an agreement on a format of any kind. They can't agree on the teams. They can't agree on who. Tony Petitti wants 24 teams. He wants play-in games. He wants 4 automatic qualifiers. Other conferences want more at-large bids. No, we're nowhere close to agreeing on anything. So the new deadline it's been extended. January 23rd. Now, here's my opinion on this. Now, since they can't make up their mind, they want to take more time, and they want to see how this year's 12-team selection goes and how it plays out. And again, if it all works out smoothly without too much controversy, maybe they keep things the way they are until greedy people and TV people will say, hey, more playoff games, more playoff teams, more money. We want more. Let's expand. Then the argument's going to continue again. And in my opinion, that's going to harm college football. I think the bigger we get with this playoff thing, the worse it gets for college football. Nevertheless, but here's my fear, because I don't want them to expand anymore. I wanted them to keep it at 4. I didn't want them to go to 12. But they're going to look at how the final selection goes, and they're going to have a gaggle of 10-2 teams. And some 10-2 teams are going to make it. And some are going to be 10-2 in some pretty impressive conferences, and they're not going to make it. And they're going to use that. They're going to go, we need to make the field bigger. We need to expand it. And then January 23rd, there was a reason that said that's like within a week after the national championship. It's exactly what they're doing. That's exactly what they're doing. Leave me your comments on that too. We'd love to hear from you. Meanwhile, we got a lot of basketball going on. Before we do our power rankings for football, just a quick note on all these holiday tournaments with basketball going on. No Big Ten games Wednesday, but Thursday, tomorrow, Thanksgiving. By the way, we're going to take the day off. I know we're here every day with multiple podcasts, so we go live on the weekends. We're going to take a day for the holiday, for Thanksgiving, and I wish you and your family a very happy Thanksgiving. But we'll be back on Friday, previewing every single team, every single game for the weekend. Even have a couple of Friday night games, 4 teams in action Friday night. Talk about Saturday's games, and then we'll go on the record with our pigskin picks, because that's what we always do on Friday. So just for a moment, let's talk some basketball. So there's the Fort Myers tip-off. Michigan State is there, 11th ranked Michigan State. They're going to take on 16th ranked North Carolina. That's at 4:30 on Fox. It's right after the the Lions-Packers game on Thanksgiving Day football. They're going to have this basketball game on. It's going to be there featuring Michigan State. Both those teams have been in the Fort Myers Classic. And in fact, on Tuesday, North Carolina beat St. Bonaventure, I think by 15 points. And Michigan State beat East Carolina. Now those two are going to play each other. So we got a top 20 matchup Thanksgiving Day. If you not want to watch any football, want to watch some basketball, it's the Big Ten teams. The Acrisure Holiday Classic. Washington is at Nevada. That's at 4:30 Eastern, 1:30 Pacific on CBS Sports Network. Wisconsin is at Providence. It's at 5:30 Eastern on FS1, the Rady Children's Invitational. Stanford is at Minnesota. That's 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific on CBS Sports Network. That is also part of the Acrisure Invitational. And Oklahoma State is taking on Northwestern. That's at 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 Pacific on Peacock, part of the CBS Sports Thanksgiving Classic. All right, if you're new to us here, one of the things that makes us unique is we do a feature at the end of every podcast every Monday. You can set your calendar by it. We'll do our top 10 Big Ten observations for the weekend. Tuesdays, we do Tuesday tweets or X. We post those. Wednesdays, we power rank stuff. Thursdays, we look at the Big Ten Network's schedule and we pull out the Big Ten Classics, the Big Ten live action, doubleheader on Saturday, tripleheader, whatever the case may be. Friday, we make our pigskin picks. So that's what we'll do, including the Ohio State-Michigan game. But in the meantime, we got our power rankings, 1 through 18. We'll share them with you. We'll tell you where your team is. That's all coming up in 1 minute right here on Locked On Big Ten. The holidays always feel a little easier when you're already knowing the perfect gift for somebody. And Omaha Steaks makes it almost too simple. That's the perfect gift. And it's also a great gift to give to somebody that you're just not sure what to get them. You can't go wrong with Omaha Steaks. Whether you're treating yourself this season or sending that memorable gift to family or friends, Omaha Steaks delivers handcrafted perfection right to their door. And this week's the best time to jump in because their cyber sale is here and the deals are huge and the quality is beyond what you hope for with incredibly tender steaks, rich flavor, meals, and they make hosting and weeknight cooking easy, breezy, piece of cake, and the variety. The steaks are great, but they have more. They do burgers, they do comfort meals, sides, desserts. And it's one of those gifts that just truly fits anyone. So save big on unforgettable gifts with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off statewide and an additional extra 20% off select favorites during their cyber sale. And again, it's an additional $35 off. Use the promo code COLLEGE at checkout. That's omahasteaks.com, promo code COLLEGE. Terms apply. See site for details. You want to go to a game? Get Game Time. Get the Game Time app, and you can get tickets to any game, rivalry week, championship games, whatever you need. You want to get a ticket? Game Time. Download the Game Time app. Couple of taps. You're going to go. Super easy. No hidden fees. Prices up front. No lines. No pressure. Use Game Time. It gives you a great advantage buying tickets. You got the view from the seat of the ticket you're about to buy right there. Pull up Game Time, couple of taps, amazing deals, and go see your favorite college football team. Sometimes you can get tickets as low as $25 there at a college football game. Take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. Thanks for checking us out here on Locked On Big Ten and making us your first listen each and every day throughout the year. We always appreciate that. Thanks for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network out there as well. All right, we're going to do our power rankings 1 through 18 as we go into the last weekend of the season. We'll put it on screen in case you're on Spotify or Apple or audio only. We'll just describe it. It's a list and it's logos, and we still have Indiana at #1 coming off of a bye week. In case you're new and wondering, wait a minute, what about Ohio State? I have argued that Indiana has a better roster from top to bottom than Ohio State. I absolutely believe that. Now, Indiana's at Purdue on Friday. We'll see about Elijah Surratt and Drew Evans. They're banged up. Ohio State, a strong number 2. They're banged up too. Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith set out last week. I have a feeling they'll be on the field for Michigan, especially Jeremiah Smith. Keep in mind, and I made this point earlier, other than the Texas game in week 1, when we're just trying to figure out, who everybody is, nobody's come within 18 of Ohio State. Now, they've not had to go on the road or have a tough game, and I think this will be a tight game. Point spread's around 9.5, 10. I think it'll be tough, but that number 1 defense of Ohio State, that travels. Oregon at number 3, they prove they belong. They got a little bit of credit. They moved up 1 spot in the college football rankings by beating USC. They beat Iowa the week before. Tricky game against Washington. Washington can hang with them. Oregon doesn't want to get bounced out of the playoffs altogether. They got to win this game. And Washington's a lot like Oregon in that they've had injuries, and then the young guys have just stepped up, and there's just a bunch of young guys coming up every running back room, wide receiver room. These two schools have recruited very well. They're very deep. So anyway, we got Oregon at number 3. I put Michigan at number 4, moved them up 1 after the win against Maryland. And you may be going, well, why is USC number 5? Why did you drop them 1? USC once beat Michigan. I know, but since Michigan lost to USC, they've run the table. And since Michigan is eligible to make it to the Big Ten championship game and USC is not because they have 3 losses, that's why we did what we did. That's why Michigan is at 4. That's why USC is at 5. We got Iowa sitting at 6. You got to wonder what could have been if they won any one of those 4 close games against USC, Oregon, Indiana, or Iowa State. Washington moved them up 3 this week. A little bit of an adjustment and credit for winning. They're at number 7. They've been in and out of the top 25. Blew out UCLA at the Rose Bowl, and that is I believe they had only won 1 of their last 9 there. They typically don't win there, so give them a little credit. I got Illinois. I dropped them 1 to number 8. This is a good Illinois team. I'm disappointed for Brett Bielema because had he run the table and won a bowl game, he would have had another 10-win season back-to-back. So that's out. Surprising 27-10 loss at Wisconsin this past weekend, although Wisconsin's playing a little bit better right now. I think we all have to admit that right now. At number 9, Northwestern. Boy, these are the cardiac kids, man. 2 weeks ago at Wrigley Field, they lost on a walk-off field goal by Michigan. And then they won on a late field goal against Minnesota, and then watch Minnesota kick what would have been a game-tying field goal for 40 yards, and they missed it. So Northwestern gets the win. They're going bowling the second time in 3 years with David Braun. Good, solid team there, right there. They don't get enough credit. Very underrated. Penn State at number 10. I moved them up 3. Look, if Penn State were to go back and play some of the games that they've played in the past that they lost, maybe they'd win them now. They're playing better finally. Talent to be ranked number 2 at one point. Talented enough to send numerous kids through the NFL draft every year. There's talent here. They woke up against Ohio State. They definitely woke up against Indiana. Couldn't pull off that win, though. They beat Michigan State to get their first Big Ten win of the season, and they crushed Nebraska. I think Penn State's playing good. I think they're a top 10 team in the conference right now. All right, let's see what else we got here. Best of the rest. At number 11, I got Nebraska. I don't know how I feel about Nebraska. I dropped them 3 spots. They got crushed by Penn State. That was Matt Rule's homecoming game. They haven't quite been the same, obviously, because Dylan Raiola's been out for a few weeks with a broken leg. TJ Lateef is going to lead them the rest of the way. They got their 7 wins. They're going bowling. I believe Vegas had them at 7.5 wins at the beginning of the year, and now they're down to the season finale. Whew. Vegas knows what they're doing, right? We got Minnesota at number 12. Dropped them 1. You got to miss that game-tying field goal at Northwestern. They host Wisconsin next. I got Wisconsin right next. So this will flip or remain the same. Got Wisconsin at number 13. Moved them up a couple of spaces. Gave them some credit. They're starting to win now. And Washington and Illinois, right? A couple of teams that have flirted with the top 25. We got UCLA at number 14. They were moving up in the world. They had won 3 straight. Now they lost. I think they lost 4. They won 3. They've lost 4. So big loss to Washington, sliding again. They got USC to close it out. I got them at number 14. Rutgers just dropped them 1 after the big loss to Ohio State. What are you going to do? I mean, they didn't have a chance, really. They were outmanned there. Greg Schiano knew it. Nothing he could do. Maryland, they've dropped 7 in a row. Now, Mike Loxley's coming back. They lost to Michigan this weekend after a 4-0 start. They're sitting at number 16. You got Michigan State at number 17, still 0 for the Big Ten. I don't feel good about Jonathan Smith's chances to continue there. Tough way to lose against Iowa. And then Purdue, they're in last. The Boilermakers like to call themselves the Spoilermakers. I don't know if they have enough manpower to beat number 2 IU on Friday. I'm pretty sure they don't, but that's where we are. Purdue at number 18 on the list. Let me know what you think. I think we nailed it. I think it's almost beyond approach. I think 1 through 18, I think we got it right. What do you think? Let me know in the comments section. Always love to hear from you guys. Don't forget, a couple of Friday night games. Again, we're off Thursday for Thanksgiving, so happy Thanksgiving to you. Friday, we'll be back with our typical Friday podcast where we preview every team, every game. We got 2 games on Friday, by the way, Iowa at Nebraska and Indiana at Purdue. And then the big one on Saturday, Ohio State, Michigan at 12 to 12:18, I think is actual kickoff time. We're going to go live immediately after the game. As soon as the coach does a winning interview on the sideline, we're going live. You get my live, raw reaction to that. And also I get yours too, real live time comments. So let's do it. Let's make a plan to meet 3:30-ish Eastern, 12:30 Pacific, right here on Locked On Big Ten Live. And we'll preview all the rest of the Big Ten games throughout the weekend as well. As a matter of fact, that leads us to other things. Well, the idea who's going to the Big Ten championship game, maybe. Probably not by the live one on Saturday. Well, we might. And then signing day starts next week as well. And then we go right on the Big Ten championship game at Lucas Oil Field. We'll go live after that too next Saturday as well. We're here every day. Check us out. All 18 teams, news, analysis, and opinion of that news. We're on Twitter at Talk Big Ten. Don't forget our website, talkbig10.com. Number 10, hit that free subscribe button so you never miss a single episode. And also a quick reminder for you college football fans at Locked On and Fire TV, present the College Football Kickoff, your ultimate college football weekly preview with Drake Toll hosting for Locked On Big 12, Gary Patterson, college star Jesse Holley, and our Locked On experts. Catch the College Football Kickoff every Thursday throughout the season, only on Fire TV. That'll do it for us. Happy Thanksgiving. No podcast Thursday, although we will air the Big Ten squad. I'm on that. We'll do that on Thursday and then meet on Friday for a regular podcast and then live on Saturday. For Locked On Big Ten, I'm Craig Shemon. Happy Thanksgiving. We'll talk to you later.